Well, here we are on another old abandoned road, this time an abandoned section of Highway 395 just south of Poway, California. There's actually a few abandoned sections of the old highway in this area that we're going to try to take a look at today. So let's go see what we could find. The road we're on was once part of Pomerado Road and was part of Highway 395 from 1934 until 1949, and then was bypassed completely when they expanded Pomerado Road in 1980. And you could see the new Pomerado Road just off to the side here. It's about 25 feet away. You can see the stoplights for it. So a few sections of the old road still remain. This is a fairly smaller section of it, and I'll show a map right now. Hey everyone, I'm actually recording this while editing the video. Originally, rather than showing old maps, we intended to show current maps showing where the abandoned sections of the road are. However, once we got out there and walked around and explored the road, we felt a little uncomfortable about showing the exact locations of where the roads are. And I know these abandoned sections of the road can easily be found with a Google search, but as you'll see later in the video just how close the abandoned road gets to people's houses, we just didn't feel comfortable showing the exact location in this video. So I just wanted to step in and apologize for not showing the location real quick, and back to the video. But this is a smaller section of it. We're about to go check out a much larger section of it and see what we can find. Before we leave this small portion of the abandoned road, here's a look back. This is pretty much the entire portion of the road in the shot right now. I wanted to point out that somebody took rocks and placed them along the center line. You never know what you're going to find on a lot of these old abandoned highways. There's always some sort of art, usually a lot of graffiti. Surprisingly, the only real graffiti we've seen so far is somebody wrote Old Highway 395. Probably the most informative graffiti we've ever seen on one of these abandoned highways. But yeah, I just wanted to point this out. Right now we're on the side of the new Pomerado Road, and you can kind of see the large section of the old road down the hill a little bit, starting to peek through the bushes. So we've made it to that larger section of the abandoned road. As I mentioned, this was part of Highway 395 from 1934 until 1949. When it was bypassed, the road was actually moved to the west to where Interstate 15 is now. And then Highway 395 was decommissioned in Southern California completely much later than that, and Highway 15 largely replaced it. This was also part of Pomerado Road until 1980, when they decided to widen and straighten the road. As you can see, curves behind us, it's pretty narrow. They needed a much bigger, wider road, much straighter road, so they bypassed this completely. And largely, the original road is gone. You can see it just kind of ends right here, but a few sections of it do remain, like this one, and so let's take a look at it. It's always amazing to think about all the cars that would have driven down this road in the 50 years it was in existence. And also that it's been over 40 years since it's been decommissioned. And look how bright the paint still is. I mean, you can see nature starting to retake the road. Lots of plants breaking through the surface. And right down over here, there's actually a tree that's starting to, or a tree that has completely busted through it. It's actually a pretty tall tree, but it's completely broken through. But it's just amazing to think about how many people travel through here, and that we're just standing here. It's completely abandoned, starting to return to nature. Let's take a closer look at this tree. And I apologize for the sound in advance. I did switch out the mics to a different mic, so if I sound different, and I'm about to walk through a tremendous amount of leaves. So if it gets real crunchy and noisy, I apologize. But You can see how the tree just completely broke through the tarmac here. There's a lot of chopped wood, so people are taking care of it in some way. Now we are trying to be pretty quiet and respectful. There are houses right below us on our right, and on our left, about 50 feet or so up this hill, is the current Pomerado Road. And it looks like someone's built a shed or something on this old road. I don't know if it's one of the houses down below or what this is, but let's go take a closer look at it. Now as we get closer to this shed down here, I can't help but think of, this is how most horror movies start out. So if this is our last video, thank you everyone who's watched along the way. We really appreciated it. Hopefully someone finds this footage and it makes its way to YouTube. And if we've uploaded it, then just disregard all of that, of course. Yeah, it looks like somebody has turned this into like a workshop. All right, so there's a beehive right there with a ton of bees in it. So I'm gonna stay pretty far away from that, because that is the last thing I want, is to be stung by a ton of bees today. Bee crossing sign. And it looks like the road really gets a little bit more beat up here. But we'll see where we can go. And I'm on the lookout for snakes as well. And this section of the road is clearly a lot less well maintained than that section up there. Probably whoever is keeping the bees is doing a good job of cleaning up that area, while this one is just being further let to return to the elements. It always amazes me when there's a section of abandoned road like this, that they just moved the road and just figured, hey, we'll just leave this old road to the elements and eventually it'll return to nature. We see 40 years later, it's still a road. It's gonna be 100 plus years before you won't be able to tell there was a road here. So I believe we're coming towards the end of the road now, and it is getting a lot more overgrown as we continue down. You can see there are just bushes breaking through all over the place. And as I mentioned, if you do come out to this road, do be respectful. There are people that live right next to it, as you can see, a house right there. And maybe I was wrong. Maybe we're not towards the end of it, as it's starting to clear out a little bit more and I can see the road continuing on down here. And it definitely feels awkward with being so close to people's houses and being basically at the level of their second-story windows right now. Okay, and so now it looks like we are really approaching the end of the road here. And here is where it ends. Some modern drainage has been installed. And right above us is the current Pomerado Road. So the road would have continued on a little straight and then linked up with where Pomerado Road is today, just about 50 feet in front of us here. So that's our look at old abandoned Highway 395 just south of Poway, California. If you do decide to come out here for yourself, remember that there are people who live in the area, so keep that in mind. Try to be as respectful as possible, but enjoy the road. It won't be here forever. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and we'll see you next week.